Ladies and gentlemen, it is the second week of the beta, and I'm going to be giving away some beta codes today. All you got to do to win them is just comment down below what you are playing on, and then I'm also going to be giving some away over on Twitter. So follow my Twitter. The link will be in the description. As far as this video, what we're going to be talking about is weekend 2 of the beta. What is new? What has changed, what they have added in, and everything you have to look forward to over the weekend. We're also going to be talking about some patch notes that they've put out, or lack thereof. You'll see what I mean when we get to that. We're actually going to start with that. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So first off, covering the things that they actually updated in weekend 2, they said that they fixed various crashes, addressed a few gameplay exploits. So I'm assuming those are some of the map exploits that we saw in weekend 1, patched some map geo and lighting issues that I'm very interested in. Certain areas on maps I found it hard to see players, so I want to see what that actually changes, and updated progression for gunsmith related bugs. We will talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The next thing that they mention is minimap dot rules. So they say currently in the Modern Warfare 2 beta, we only show enemy player dots when UAV is active. They then go on to explain this, that they don't want people chasing red dots on the minimap, and then they say we continue to gather feedback on how the game is playing in regards to this topic. So in other words, in going into weekend 2, nothing is changing, but they also say currently in the Modern Warfare 2 beta. So it doesn't mean they won't change it, but I don't really like the way they worded this. Basically, they're saying we're not listening to what you're saying. We think our way is better, but they say they're going to monitor it. So keep an eye on this. This is one that I have a lot of questions about. We'll probably talk more about it tomorrow. The next thing they talk about is target tracking. There's a couple of things that they mention in here. First of all, reduced muzzle smoke opacity and increase the visibility of the muzzle flash. So this is good. This is something that I wanted to see. Basically, when you're shooting at people, it's hard to see them because there's so much muzzle flash. They also say that they're going to differentiate enemies from friendlies in another way. They're going to do something later this weekend. We don't know what it is. I will keep you updated as we find that out. The next thing they talk about is the user interface. They said some people had difficulty editing perk packages, managing loadouts, and I completely agree with this. They said that they are fixing this, but it won't be out in time for the beta. That's kind of what I expected. They also said there were some bugs with this as well. Not surprised at all. Hopefully that is fixed for launch. They then talk about perks. They talk about the new perk system, saying that they think it's a nice change up, and they've also seen feedback. They said they're going to monitor it and look at the earn rates of specific things. This will be interesting to see what actually changes. They also mentioned dead silence, and the way that they say it is, they say, we believe it is important to the game health that rushers are not able to move at high speeds without consequences. My response to this is, if you made dead silence a perk instead of a field upgrade, make it so that when you are tack sprinting, then you can hear footsteps. They are quieter when using dead silence, but not absolutely silent. I think that's a better way of introducing this than just a field upgrade. You can let me know what you think down in the comments, and maybe you will see something change, but at this point, I highly doubt it. They then talk about footstep audio. Essentially, they tell us that during weekend 2 of the beta, the footsteps will not be as loud, and they will be different based off of the movement speed of the individual player. Very interested to see what this sounds like, especially if the mini map is not updated and red dots aren't showing up. You can't have too silent of footsteps, because then you would just not know where anyone is. It's an interesting balance between the two, but for weekend 2, it appears as though they will be a little bit more quiet. Finally, we have slide canceling. As far as slide canceling goes, they say the community feedback around that remains positive, and they will not be changing that. They know that there's a workaround for it, and they're going to be addressing it during weekend 2 of the beta, but they're just not sure how yet. And then finally, as far as the slide goes, they are making changes for the launch of the game, and I'm guessing they're going to be changing up that slide speed, making it a little bit faster, but we'll have to wait till launch to find that one out. So diving into the gameplay and the game itself here, there's a bunch of new features, new modes, new maps, so on and so forth. So first off, we have the new mode called Invasion. This is a 40 player max, so 20v20. We're going to talk more about this mode. I think there's some good things about this mode and some very bad things about this mode as well. We'll dive into that in a second. But of course, because it's the second weekend of the beta, the level cap has been raised up to 30. So if we go into progression here, you can see you unlock things all the way up to rank 30, in which you get to rank 30, you unlock dead silence, you unlock the gunship. I can't wait to get my hands on that gunship, see how it works. Aside from that, there are some new things that you can see in the weapons and progression as well. First off, if we go into our ARs here, there is a new weapon called the TAQ-56. This is essentially the Scar H. It's unlocked by hitting rank 30, which it doesn't show you in the progression tab, but if you look up in the top left there, you can see TAQ-56, and then underneath that it says item unlocked at level 30, which is good to see. There's also some other interesting things here as well. The progression trees still aren't working properly. I was able to get into them once, but now that I'm editing weapons, it won't let me into the cast-off, which is the AK platform, which we currently can't see. I'm guessing that is because they are trying to hide it for other weapons that are not in this build. But even my Lockman sub, I can't check out the Lockman tree either, which is very frustrating. And even at this point, I can't get into the M4 one either. I don't know why, but that's just what's going on at this point. There's still some UI problems. There's still some other problems in game that have not been fixed yet. Now, other than that, there's a bunch of different tactical gear and things like that that was unlocked by upping that top rank to rank 30, and you get a better idea of what the game is actually going to play like. All right, so moving into the new game mode, this is Invasion, and I want to be very clear when I say this. This is not ground war, at least not ground war that we saw in Modern Warfare 2019, for many various reasons. First off, the maps are smaller. There are vehicles on them. However, there is no squad spawning. There is squads. There is no squad spawning. And on top of that, bots are in the game. So essentially, this is team deathmatch, and even when you finish the game, it doesn't show your kills. It just shows your kill death ratio and your team score. It's a very, very odd system, and I don't fully get it. And as I mentioned, there are bots in there. And what I will say about these bots is, number one, they are very body. They are not good. They will shoot you and then turn in the other direction. I know they've been ranting and raving about their AI, but it's not good enough. When you kill a bot, it doesn't count towards your kill streak, which I don't know if that's good or bad yet, because you could just farm bots. They literally spawn in waves, and you could just kill them over and over and over again. Some of them have armor, which can be annoying. It makes the TTK a little bit longer on them. But other than that, it's a 20v20 mode plus bots. That's what you need to know about it. There's no flags to capture. There's no domination flags or anything like that. There is just killing the other team. So, as I mentioned, it's not ground war, it's invasion. And I have a feeling they called it invasion because ground war is still going to be a mode, and it's not what's in here. What I did notice through playing this is there is more frame stuttering. I definitely had some rendering issues, but this is also my first time playing on PC, but I have a pretty decent PC, so I shouldn't really experience problems with that. So I'm guessing that there is more problems with this mode than there is with anything else. The other thing I wanted to mention is switching to PC for this weekend. I played for maybe 35 minutes. My game crashed 4 times already. It's gotten better the more that I've played, so I don't know if that's some settings that I had wrong or some drivers that I had to fix, but even after I fixed everything, it still crashed twice. So definite issues there. As far as this invasion mode, I find it gimmicky. I find it kind of like that third-person mode that we got last weekend, where it's not so much a bread and butter game mode that you're going to play every day, just something that you may hop in to change things up here or there, which scares me because then that takes away from the development time of 6v6 maps and things like that. Not to mention that there are currently 2 different maps within this invasion mode. There is Saeed, which you are seeing in this gameplay, and there's also Seraph Bay, which I played at the pre-release event. Again, I don't believe that these are ground war, so when the actual ground war comes out, I think they will be bigger than the maps you are seeing here, but again, I could be totally wrong with that, so take that with a grain of salt. So everything else we have this weekend is pretty much what we got last weekend, the same game modes of team deathmatch, domination, prisoner rescue, knockout, and third-person mosh pit. Currently, search and destroy is not in there. And then the maps that we have are the same as last weekend: Farm 18, Los Alamos, Hotel, and Museum. As far as these maps go, I like all of them but Museum. I find Museum a little bit too big for 6v6. I think it'll work for game modes like search and destroy and other maybe harder objective game modes, but as far as just domination, team deathmatch, it's a little bit too big for me. But that is what we have for this weekend. I have a video coming out tomorrow. We're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into what Infinity Ward is telling us and whether or not they're actually listening to the community. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to stay up to date on everything Modern Warfare, Warzone 2, everything like that. Turn notifications on, all that jazz. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're made